Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Approaching a particular destination. A coming closer. A narrowing of a gap. The ship's rapid rate of closing gave them little time to avoid a collision. The last section of a communication. Termination of operations. The act of closing something. A concluding action. Final or ending. The closing stages of the election. An obstruction in a pipe or tube. A rule for limiting or ending debate in a deliberative body. A Gestalt principle of organization holding that there is an innate tendency to perceive incomplete objects as complete and to close or fill gaps and to perceive asymmetric stimuli as symmetric. The act of blocking. Approaching a particular destination. A coming closer. A narrowing of a gap. Termination of operations. They regretted the closure of the day care center. Something settled or resolved. The outcome of decision-making. He needed to grieve before he could achieve a sense of closure. Terminate debate by calling for a vote. Debate was closured. Cease to operate or cause to cease operating. The owners decided to move and to close the factory. Come to a close. The concert closed with a nocturne by Chopin. Not far distant in time or space or degree or circumstances. She was close to tears. Of textiles. A close weave. Marked by fidelity to an original. A close translation. Fill or stop up. Can you close the cracks with caulking? Inclined to secrecy or reticence about divulging information. Although they knew her whereabouts, her friends kept close about it. Near in time or place or relationship. The bullet didn't come close. Move so that an opening or passage is obstructed. Make shut. In an attentive manner. He remained close on his guard. Lacking fresh air. The dreadfully close atmosphere. The last section of a communication. The temporal end. The concluding time. They were playing better at the close of the season. Come together, as if in an embrace. Her arms closed around her long-lost relative. The concluding part of any performance. Become closed. The windows closed with a loud bang. Crowded. Close quarters. Unite or bring into contact or bring together the edges of. Close the circuit. Giving or spending with reluctance. Very close, or near, with his money. Of a contest or contestants, evenly matched. A close contest. Fitting closely but comfortably. A close fit. At or within a short distance in space or time or having elements near each other. Close to noon. Bar access to. Due to the accident, the road had to be closed for several hours. Be priced or listed when trading stops. The stock market closed high this Friday. Bring together all the elements or parts of. Management closed ranks. Cause a window or an application to disappear on a computer desktop. Change one's body stance so that the forward shoulder and foot are closer to the intended point of impact. Close in relevance or relationship. A close family. Complete a business deal, negotiation, or an agreement. We closed on the house on Friday. Confined to specific persons. A close secret. Draw near. The probe closed with the space station. Engage at close quarters. Close with the enemy. Finish a game in baseball by protecting a lead. The relief pitcher closed with 2 runs in the second inning. Finish or terminate meetings, speeches, etc. The meeting was closed with a charge by the chairman of the board. Rigorously attentive, strict and thorough. Close supervision. Strictly confined or guarded. Kept under close custody. Used of hair or haircuts. A close military haircut. Event whose occurrence ends something. The proposition arrived at by logical reasoning, such as the proposition that must follow from the major and minor premises of a syllogism. The act of making up your mind about something. He drew his conclusions quickly. A position or opinion or judgment reached after consideration. His conclusion took the evidence into account. The act of ending something. The last section of a communication. In conclusion, I want to say. The temporal end, the concluding time. A final settlement. The conclusion of a business deal. An intuitive assumption. Jump to a conclusion. A piece of cloth that is left over after the rest has been used or sold. Bring to an end or halt. She ended their friendship when she found out that he had once been convicted of a crime. Be the end of. Be the last or concluding part of. This sad scene ended the movie. The state of affairs that a plan is intended to achieve and that, when achieved, terminates behavior intended to achieve it. The ends justify the means. The last section of a communication. The point in time at which something ends. The end of the year. Have an end, in a temporal, spatial, or quantitative sense, either spatial or metaphorical. My property ends by the bushes. The final stage or concluding parts of an event or occurrence. The end was exciting. A final state. He came to a bad end. Either extremity of something that has length. The end of the pier. A boundary marking the extremities of something. The end of town. A final part or section. We have given it at the end of the section since it involves the calculus. American football. A position on the line of scrimmage. No one wanted to play end. Football. The person who plays at one end of the line of scrimmage. The end managed to hold onto the pass. One of 2 places from which people are communicating to each other. The phone rang at the other end. Put an end to. The terrible news ended our hopes that he had survived. The part you were expected to play. He held up his end. The surface at either extremity of a 3-dimensional object. One end of the box was marked, this side up. Event whose occurrence ends something. His death marked the ending of an era. The end of a word, a suffix or inflectional ending or final morpheme. I don't like words that have ism as an ending. The act of ending something. The last section of a communication. The point in time at which something ends. The ending of warranty period. Termination of operations. Termination of operations. The act of closing something. American football. A successful forward pass in football. A concluding action. A final climactic stage. Their achievements stand as a culmination of centuries of development. The decisive moment in a novel or play. A concluding action. Astronomy. A heavenly body's highest celestial point above an observer's horizon. Finish a task completely. To wash or wipe with or as if with a mop. A concluding action. Defeat thoroughly. A concluding action. Operated by a mechanism. Wind-up toys. Taking place at the close of a fiscal year. Year-end audit. The end of a calendar year. He had to unload the merchandise before the year end. Coming to an end. A contract terminative with the end of the war. A contact on an electrical device, such as a battery, at which electric current enters or leaves. Occurring at or forming an end or termination. Terminal leave. Station where transport vehicles load or unload passengers or goods. Either extremity of something that has length. The terminals of the anterior arches of the fornix. Causing or ending in or approaching death. A terminal patient. Electronic equipment consisting of a device providing access to a computer. Has a keyboard and display. Being or situated at an end. Terminal buds on a branch. Of or relating to or situated at the ends of a delivery route. Freight pickup as a terminal service. Relating to or occurring in a term or fixed period of time. Terminal examinations. Persist for a specified period of time. The bad weather lasted for 3 days. The time at which life ends, continuing until dead. A struggle to the last. The item at the end. Last, I'll discuss family values. Not to be altered or undone. The arbiter will have the last say. Holding device shaped like a human foot that is used to fashion or repair shoes. The temporal end, the concluding time. Continue to live and avoid dying. How long can a person last without food and water? Occurring at or forming an end or termination. The last days of the dinosaurs. Conclusive in a process or progression. A last resort. Highest in extent or degree. To the last measure of human endurance. Lowest in rank or importance. Last prize. The final stage or concluding parts of an event or occurrence. I had to miss the last of the movie. A person's dying act. The final thing a person can do. He breathed his last. A unit of capacity for grain equal to 80 bushels. A unit of weight equal to 4,000 pounds. Coming after all others in time or space or degree or being the only one remaining. The last time I saw Paris. Immediately past. Last Thursday. Most unlikely or unsuitable. The last person we would have suspected. Occurring at the time of death. His last words. The last or lowest in an ordering or series. He was the last to leave. Not to be altered or undone. The judge's decision is final. An examination administered at the end of an academic term. Occurring at or forming an end or termination. The final chapter. Conclusive in a process or progression. The final answer. The final match between the winners of all previous matches in an elimination tournament. Occurring at or forming an end or termination. His concluding words came as a surprise. The act of drawing spatially closer to something. The event of one object coming closer to another. The temporal property of becoming nearer in time. Of the relatively near future. The approaching election. The act of drawing spatially closer to something. The hunter's approach scattered the geese. Ideas or actions intended to deal with a problem or situation. His approach to every problem is to draw up a list of pros and cons. Move towards. We were approaching our destination. The event of one object coming closer to another. A relatively short golf shot intended to put the ball onto the putting green. He lost the hole when his approach rolled over the green. A tentative suggestion designed to elicit the reactions of others. A way of entering or leaving. Come near in time. Winter is approaching. Begin to deal with. Approach a task. The temporal property of becoming nearer in time. The approach of winter. Come near or verge on, resemble, come nearer in quality, or character. His playing approaches that of Horowitz. The final path followed by an aircraft as it is landing. A close approximation. The nearest approach to genius. Make advances to someone, usually with a proposal or suggestion. I was approached by the president to serve as his advisor in foreign matters. The act of drawing spatially closer to something. Arrival that has been awaited, especially of something momentous. The moment of most intense pleasure in sexual intercourse. The temporal property of becoming nearer in time. Of the relatively near future. This coming Thursday. A self-contained part of a larger composition, written or musical. A section of a section. A part of a part, i.e., a part of something already divided. A division of some larger or more complex organization. An area composed of subdivided lots. The act of subdividing. Division of something previously divided. A self-contained part of a larger composition, written or musical. He always turns first to the business section. A specialized division of a large organization. She got a job in the historical section of the Treasury. The cutting of or into body tissues or organs, especially by a surgeon as part of an operation. Geometry, the area created by a plane cutting through a solid. One of the portions into which something is regarded as divided and which together constitute a whole. The finance section of the company. A small class of students who are part of a larger course but are taught separately. A graduate student taught sections for the professor's lecture course. Divide into segments. One of several parts or pieces that fit with others to constitute a whole object. A section of a fishing rod. A distinct region or subdivision of a territorial or political area or community or group of people. No section of the nation is more ardent than the South. A division of an orchestra containing all instruments of the same class. A land unit equal to 1 square mile. A segment of a citrus fruit. He ate a section of the orange. A small army unit usually having a special function. A small team of policemen working as part of a police platoon. A very thin slice, of tissue or mineral or other substance, for examination under a microscope. Sections from the left ventricle showed diseased tissue. The end of a word, a suffix or inflectional ending or final morpheme. The act of ending something. The termination of the agreement. A coming to an end of a contract period. A place where something ends or is complete. Something that results. The act of changing location from one place to another. Police controlled the motion of the crowd. Show, express or direct through movement. An optical illusion of motion produced by viewing a rapid succession of still pictures of a moving object. The cinema relies on apparent motion. A natural event that involves a change in the position or location of something. A formal proposal for action made to a deliberative assembly for discussion and vote. He made a motion to adjourn. The use of movements, especially of the hands, to communicate familiar or prearranged signals. A change of position that does not entail a change of location. The reflex motion of his eyebrows revealed his surprise. A state of change. They were in a state of steady motion. A change of position that does not entail a change of location. Gastrointestinal motility. Ability to move spontaneously and independently. Give an incentive for action. This moved me to sacrifice my career. Be in a state of action. Change location. Move, travel, or proceed, also metaphorically. The soldiers moved towards the city in an attempt to take it before night fell. The act of changing location from one place to another. The movement of people from the farms to the cities. Cause to move or shift into a new position or place, both in a concrete and in an abstract sense. The director moved more responsibilities onto his new assistant. Perform an action, or work out or perform an action. We must move quickly. The act of changing your residence or place of business. They say that 3 moves equal 1 fire. Have a turn. Make one's move in a game. Have an emotional or cognitive impact upon. Follow a procedure or take a course. A change of position that does not entail a change of location. Movement as a sign of life. Progress by being changed. Propose formally, in a debate or parliamentary meeting. Arouse sympathy or compassion in. Her fate moved us all. Change residence, affiliation, or place of employment. We moved from Idaho to Nebraska. Dispose of by selling. The chairman of the company told the salesman to move the computers. Game. A player's turn to take some action permitted by the rules of the game. Go or proceed from one point to another. The debate moved from family values to the economy. Live one's life in a specified environment. She moves in certain circles only. Move so as to change position, perform a non-translational motion. He moved his hand slightly to the right. The act of deciding to do something. He didn't make a move to help. The act of changing location from one place to another. The movement of people from the farms to the cities. A euphemism for defecation. He had a bowel movement. A group of people with a common ideology who try together to achieve certain general goals. He was a charter member of the movement. An optical illusion of motion produced by viewing a rapid succession of still pictures of a moving object. The succession of flashing lights gave an illusion of movement. A natural event that involves a change in the position or location of something. A general tendency to change, as of opinion. A broad movement of the electorate to the right. A change of position that does not entail a change of location. Movement as a sign of life. A series of actions advancing a principle or tending toward a particular end. The movement to end slavery. A major self-contained part of a symphony or sonata. The second movement is slow and melodic. The act of changing the location of something. The movement of cargo onto the vessel. The driving and regulating parts of a mechanism, as of a watch or clock. It was an expensive watch with a diamond movement. A change from a serious subject to a disappointing one. A disappointing decline after a previous rise. The anticlimax of a brilliant career. A flowery and highly rhetorical oration. Rhetoric. The concluding section of an oration. He summarized his main points in his peroration.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.